Radio Free Skaro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 728. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
And if you're a Patreon subscriber, this is coming out before 727 because we're recording this.
And indeed, why me?
So out of sequence recording, different production code for this episode. This is our Gallifrey One preview. Which will be, our annual thing. Usually we do this on an actual episode, but the BBC has seen fit to actually broadcast Doctor Who during the time of Gallifrey One for the first time ever in the 31-year history. I know, it's ridiculous. So this is coming out Tuesday morning for everyone else. Just to give it a bit of space in between our review for Can You Hear Me, which I hope you enjoyed. I hope we enjoyed it too, as you will probably hear.
Won't have a clue.
It has yet to be broadcast as we record this. So
exactly. So that's all to come. So anyway, a tradition is a tradition, and our Gallifrey One preview is something we look forward to every single year because it means that we're about to go to Gallifrey One. So
did we do one before the first galley in 2009?
No, I don't think so.
I don't recall.
I know that we talked about like all the panels we wanted to see, and we made it to like very few of them, as always happens.
As it is.
But I don't think we did a formal one, did we? Or maybe we did.
I don't think anything we did back in 2009 was formal.
No, I think it was quasi-formal at best. There was their t-shirt tuxedos. There you go.
Pretty much. But now it's different. Now it's different. After all, we don't say this often because we're bashful about it, but we are the official podcast of Gallifrey One. And so this, I guess, is the official podcast preview. I don't think we've ever thought that, but
I think we're overthinking this.
Probably.
We should just talk about it. How about that?
Very much indeed.
If this is official, then we're doing it without without the inimitable Sean Lyon giving us what to plug and what not to plug.
Yeah, he would be there.
We'll just say thank you, Sean, for another year of Galley.
Yeah, 31 years. He spent about 2/3 of his life programming a convention. Just in case. I mean, he started this thing when he was 19. 19 years old, doing a Doctor Who convention.
And now he's 65.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
not the years, it's the mileage. 31 years, 31 flavors of Gallifrey One, of course, starts officially, I suppose, Thursday, February 13th through February 16th on the Sunday. This is, for those of you who don't know, this is our little rundown of some of the panels. Maybe we will miss the panel that you are looking forward to. Maybe we'll miss the panel that you are on or hosting or something. It's not a personal slight. We're just going through basically picking out stuff that maybe we would like to go to, but probably won't because Gallifrey One is the funnest and busiest time in history. It's just like
if nothing else, Sean had said he was looking to reduce the amount of programming tracks and panels and whatnot versus last year, and found that was not as easy as just doing it. So it's still as full and busy as ever.
It's still busy. There's one fewer program track. There's one less program track, and the schedule ends an hour earlier. I think it was dipping into the early evening last year, and there were more like sort of mid evenings.
Yeah, there's for the most part gaps for dinner time, so people can actually go and consume food and remain conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Please do both those things, people.
Yeah,
for you first timers, that's important.
Very important
stuff.
Yeah, let me. I mean, just before we actually get into the convention proper, because just my own personal schedule, sort of in the last few years, is that there's a grocery order site called Yummy.com. Often we will order food from there, and it delivers right to the hotel. It's a grocery delivery service. If you don't have like access to a car or something to go out to Ralph's grocery store, which is nearby-ish. I say nearby,
they do delivery as well.
They do delivery too. So
through Instacart.
Well, there you go. So there are options available to order stuff online and have it delivered to the hotel if you can't get out and get food and stuff, because eating healthy is good, and having food on hand is good when it comes to being at the convention. And when you're at your fourth panel in a row at 3 p.m. and you're really hungry, I mean, there are stuff available, as we'll get to, but often just having an apple or a banana or something back in the room or something is kind of nice.
Yeah,
and water and booze.
Buy a veggie tray
Vegetables.
and munch.
Get a vegetable tray.
Yeah.
Those things have saved my lives. My lives, appropriately enough. On
No,
several
sir, all
occasions.
13.
Yeah. Also, one other point before because this involves actually the very beginning of your stay at Los Angeles. The hotel shuttles are no longer on the ground floor at LAX. They are now on the upper floor. So if you get to LAX, you land, you're looking for the shuttle, don't just go right outside. Head up onto what the departures level, I guess it is, and that's where the shuttles are now.
That's
And apparently, if you're taking Uber, although why would you, to the hotel? But if you do, it's very confusing from what I've heard.
Yeah.
At LAX, they've got a whole crazy system.
I've got designated areas, but yeah, it's due to renovations to LAX. I know for me anyway. So we fly in and we land on the correct level for where the shuttles are going to be, but the baggage claim is down on the main floor, so you got to land, go down, pick stuff up, and then back up to the shuttles rather than just down and out.
I gotta say, this is going to be a pain, but LAX is second only to LaGuardia in crappiness. So please do upgrade it.
Right.
Well, I think I read something about a lot of this is in prep for, was it 2028 Olympics or whatever?
Yeah, 2028. They're doing a ton of
whatever year
I could
the
really
LA is
bore you with
getting.
my day job's version of how all the highway work they're doing for it. Because what LA needs is more highways.
It's going to be great.
They're actually doing a lot of metro work too. So the subway is actually surprisingly good. Should you have a need to use it in LA, and cheap.
Well, people often, I mean, we often get it in on the Wednesday. I know, Chris, you get on the Tuesday and stuff, and we often choose an outing, perhaps on the Thursday, just to see a bit of Los Angeles before we're stuck in a hotel for the rest of the weekend. So to hear the metro system is not bad is a good thing to hear.
It's also, I don't think it's all that reachable from LAX Marriott.
No.
No. I mean, you have to take like a bus to get to the train.
Yes, you do. And the bus isn't bad either. I've taken it.
Yeah. The weather forecast is, I believe, like in the high teens Celsius. I don't know what that means for Fahrenheit. Probably
low 20s.
Mid 60s or something like that. So with not much precipitation.
But bring a hoodie. Bring warm clothes anyway, because it can get cold at night.
Can't get cold. So
I have a fun new hoodie to premiere at Gala this year.
Ooh.
Inspired by Pete McTighe, who's on our live show.
Well, intriguing. I don't know what to think of that. I don't know what hoodie this is.
But yeah, the weather last year was kind of crappy.
It was.
This year should be nicer.
Yeah, just prepare. At worst, you leave your hoodie in your suitcase.
Oh yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it does get a bit chilly at night because it's still February, even if it's LA. So I mean,
It is.
layers.
Always layers.
The Vancouver motto.
So the convention begins on Thursday-ish because there's the the Carnival of Monsters, the launch party, which is like the ice cream social. Basically, there's the In-N-Out Burger Run. There's the karaoke. Convention registration actually goes from 4 to 10 p.m. on that Thursday.
Yeah, I might need that.
Which is not good talk because I'll be gone. I'll be out. Me and some others are going to a hockey game in Anaheim that night, and we'll be gone by the.
Shocked to hear it.
Anaheim. Oh
Yeah,
man,
going to
I'm
Anaheim.
going to Disney, so we'll be Anaheim buddies in a
I'm doing that
in a
next
way.
month. I cannot go this time because me and my girlfriend are going to go next month after I'm done doing work in Vegas. We have a whole California thing set up.
A whole
Cool.
California adventure, if you will.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're going to do some comedy store nerding. We're going to go to all the big comedy clubs,
Nice.
which I've never done in LA.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, the registration.
That's a month from now, so who cares?
Yeah,
Go watch a podcast get recorded.
Wow, amazing! You could watch. We could do.
A dream fulfilled.
Registration is open from 4 to 10. It's also open from 9 o'clock and all through the day on the Friday. So, which is when I'll probably be getting mine because 9 a.m.
Yeah.
is 1 hour before the convention kicks off with Radio Free Skaro. These go to 11. That's our live show, everyone. Peter Davison, Michael E. Bryant, Margot Hayhoe, Gary Russell, Sally Abrahamian, Mark Dexter, Matt Roman, Tilly Steele, if her flight gets here, because there's weather in England right now, which is causing some issues with flights, but it might have been sorted out by the time this comes out. And then Pete McTighe, Joy Wilkinson, and Vinay Patel, and then Chip, 2 Minute Time Lord, of course, is doing his returning to the stage of RFS to do a thing.
TED Talk.
On a TED Talk on Jodie Whittaker's time as Doctor Who. 2 hours, a massive 2-hour show. It's our biggest show that we've ever done, and I'm looking forward to it. So
at least until it changes.
Thank you for the boost of confidence.
I don't want to jinx it, but I don't think have we had anything in the last 4 or 5 years at least that hasn't been
changed in some way?
Last minute changes or cancellations or
I don't know. I try not to think of those things, Chris. Let's
hope for the best. How about that?
Well, I mean, you always, Stephen, you always do a very good job of rolling with it. Like, was it 2-3 years ago? We had like a whole segment got canceled or no show or something, and we it was Rachel Stott and Nick
Abadzis were there.
Nick Abadzis, yeah. Thanks to that, I become good friends with Nick Abadzis, so thanks.
They ended up being on stage for significantly longer than planned, just as coverage.
We closed the show, basically. I know. For those who've never been to one of our shows, we kind of schedule it or like block it out like a late night talk show, in that people are on for segments. We're not having 11 people on there at the same time, but because Peter Davidson's there for like the first segment, and then other people.
That always confuses the handlers as well.
It does a little bit. So I think it's getting better now. Now that we sort of know what's going on. Like for instance, we're closing with the series 11 to 12 writers, because they aren't even available until about 11 or something like that. So that's why they're closing the show. That'll be the most, with respect to all the rest of our guests, that'll be the most intriguing one, because we'll be actually talking about Doctor Who that's airing now, with Vinay Patel and Pete McTighe, who've written the last.
We've never done that before, really.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's very exciting that we're actually talking about stuff that's like current right now. So it'll be a great time. Big old show. It'll come out, of course, as a podcast sometime on Saturday. For those that aren't in attendance, you can listen to it on Saturday before our episode review on Sunday. But we'll get to that later. So yeah, that kicks off the whole shebang. The dealer room opens at 11, so you've got nowhere else to be. There are a couple other panels and stuff like that, but you don't want to be there because come on, it's us. Come on, please. Come.
Well, I do notice that there's a Doctor Who RPG happening at the same time as us, and it made me feel bad because I've been playing D&D for the past couple of years, and I just played Star Wars. I have yet to ever play a Doctor Who role-playing game, which seems kind of stupid.
Ever?
On my part.
Even like
Never.
the...
Oh, well, yeah, when I was a teenager.
Oh, okay, like the FASO one.
Yeah,
the FASO
from
one.
the 80s. But other than that, no.
Yeah. Right. Well, so there we go. That's all you need to know. Basically, that'll get you going. That whole thing will our live show will kick everything off. And no, there's other stuff elsewhere. There's like, for instance, Paul Cornell is at 11 a.m. Should you want to go to something other than our live show, is doing a panel on the script editors, Doctor Who and the script editors, talking about the script editors of yesteryear, and with a few other people. That sounds like a really intriguing panel. Already, we're 1 hour into this convention, and there's a conflict of something that I would like to see.
I don't know if it's considered a conflict by anybody but us.
Well, because we're on stage, we can't.
Well, yes, I know that. I'm just saying it's not really a conflict for anybody else, though.
We can't go, but that doesn't mean you can't.
That's very true. That's very true. We'll go to noon to things that we actually probably can do. There's a Christopher Eccleston, because Christopher Eccleston is at the convention, wouldn't you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's doing his first ever Gallifrey One. His first ever fan convention ever. He's been to 2 or 3 sort of, Comic-Con like events in the US, and then 1 or 2 in the UK, but he's only done like autographs and photos in those. So this is a big thing, and so there's a panel celebrating the Christopher Eccleston era. Our friend Rachel Donner's on that too. That's in program C at noon of the clock. Is there anything else at noonish?
Blake 7.
Blake
7 at noon.
Have you ever seen Blake 7? I didn't even think that I've seen that show before.
Oh, dear God. You should just be giving me crap about that, not him.
Yes, for the 37th time. Yes, I've seen it all. Warren has not. Michael E. Bryant is on there.
I have seen Gambit, the most important Blake 7.
But Michael E. Bryant's on the Blake 7 panel, which is... I mean, there's some other professionals on there. Tony Lee, Peter Angelides, Una McCormack. But it's kind of cool to have him on a Blake 7 thing.
He assumed did direct Blake 7.
He did. He did indeed.
Cool.
I don't know which episodes he directed, but I know he
Please
did.
tell me again.
No, that was George Spenton Foster directed.
I would have to look it up as well.
Mm-hmm. He directed 1 or 2 though, but because basically Blake 7 robbed many a Doctor Who director and writer of because they scooped him up, like Chris Boucher, for instance. But
yeah, and vice versa.
And vice versa too, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, but Chris Boucher's dialogue is great, so I'm not crying about that.
Mm-hmm. One thing I love about Gallifrey One, and we talk about this every year, is how they focus on the production side of things more so than other conventions, perhaps. For instance, Stephen Morris, who's a line producer on Doctor Who, is here, and he's being interviewed by our friend Ken Deep at 12:30. So that would be a cool thing to go to, because I'm not entirely sure what a line producer does as such. So
basically, I do know what a line producer does. Right. So you've got the producers back at the ranch getting all the big stuff ready. The line producer's the guy there on set making sure everything is happening. Mm-hmm. Now, please, production people, correct me on that if I'm not getting that exactly right. I thought they were general feeling. He's the day-to-day guy, right. Or she is.
Yeah, I thought they were like day-to-day and taking care of the money, but
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some of that too, I'm sure, but they're more like, okay, get this done, get that done.
Well, go along to the panel on Program A at 12:30 and find out for yourself. Steph Morris talking to Ken Deep. At 1 p.m. This is usually the Sunday event, but I guess Sunday's a busy day for whatever reason. So the Verity,
there's nothing happening on the Sunday.
No. Verity podcast, In Defense Of, 1 p.m., always a hallmark of the Gallifrey One weekend. In Defense Of, basically, for those that don't know, have never been. Basically, there's a topic. People submit topics, and if they want to be on the panel or not, and basically
increasingly indefensible ones.
Yeah, and say, okay, for 60 seconds, defend Adric or something, and then Kat would go on for 4 minutes and defend, but the timer would go off.
She is really good at defending him, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a rollicking good time. Often I'm grabbing like podcast interviews and have never actually been to a full version of In Defense Of, but it is a riot. It is a riot. So
also, though, it's at 1 p.m. on a Friday, so the alcohol theoretically won't be as high, the content.
Well, it's usually a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock or something like that too.
Yeah, but there are many tumblers. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, Verity will have their tumblers out, I believe, as they have done for several years now. The drink tumblers, which are, I believe, they fit an entire bottle of wine, less a little bit. So basically, you could pour an entire bottle of wine into the tumbler and then maybe polish off the rest yourself. So you don't have an almost empty bottle lying around.
You have no first-hand knowledge of such things, I'm sure.
No, I have no idea.
Just don't drink wine through a straw. You will regret it.
Really? I didn't know
Especially
that.
not a paper straw.
Yeah.
Well, in general, it's just something to do with the suction element of using a straw or whatever. Don't drink beer, don't drink wine with a straw.
No, I guess not. Never thought about that. These are important things you might discover over the course of...
Yeah. Alcohol hacks for Galley. Yeah, sure.
Great. You know what hacks are? Stuff you do. I hate that term.
I know. Yes,
it's a life hack. I'm tying my shoes.
Life hack for keeping your shoes on your feet. Tie them.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, internet content, Mel.
Thanks, BuzzFeed.
Once Deb is done moderating Verity in Defense Of, she'll be also moderating an awesome-looking panel called Girl Power, What the 13th Doctor Means to Me, with Una McCormack, Emma Reeves, Joy Wilkinson, who's only written for the damn TV show, Lee Gao, and Ina Kanevsky is also on that. So that is a hell of a panel. 6 people talking about what the 13th Doctor means to all these women on this panel. So that is pretty cool. That is happening in Program C. So Deb doesn't even need to move. She's just in the same room as Verity in Defense Of.
That's happening opposite a comics panel, which I don't know, Warren, if that's one of the ones on your list or not.
Comics panel, which you speak.
Doctor Who comic book memories. Richard Dinnick,
Oh.
Paul Cornell, Richard Starkings, Robert Napton, Scott Gray, Michael Collins.
Well, maybe I'll pop in. I say that every time. What happens.
Again,
that one is happening in, as I scroll down, Program B.
Program B, yeah. As we say, this is often a list of panels that we would like to go to. We might
suggested panels. Let's
suggested panels, perhaps. Yeah, like the Big Finish one. The Big Finish 2020 preview is on the main stage at that point with Jason Hagellery and Matt Fitton and Sue Galley and Rhiannon Starbuck, who plays Sharon in the Big Finish productions. So they're doing a big thing about what's to come in 2020. That's also happening. I think
at 2:00 I will be at the Kaffeeklatsch.
Nice.
I got in on that one, thankfully. The Pete McTighe Russell Minton one, which I guess ostensibly is going to be about like the Blu-ray stuff because they both worked on that. But Kaffeeklatches tend to cover a lot of stuff.
I've never been to one because
I went to my first one last year with Wayne Yep, which was lots of fun.
Uh-huh.
I've only been to one in Helsinki at Worldcon. So that's the extent of my Kaffeeklatsch knowledge.
Who with?
ML El Motar, who's since a friend of mine. So.
Yeah, who's been on this podcast before, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. You'll have to report on that, Chris. Because, I've seen Pete McTighe, and I'll probably have seen Russell Minton at some point during the weekend, too, because he's been on this podcast a couple times. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that he was coming to Gallifrey One, that it made me happy, because we like the people who make the Blu-rays and stuff. And berate him, because he is personally responsible for the North American release schedule as to why the Season 26 Blu-ray set is not currently available, apparently.
Well, I'm glad you're telling fans to berate him, because they won't take anything literally.
Do it.
So
Do it.
It should be just fine.
Yeah. Good point. The Kaffeeklatsch is the signups for which are those like
so Kaffeeklatches. There was an online sign up for about a day where you could set up like pick up to 3 preferred, like in order of preference. Mm-hmm. Anybody who signed up online, I guess, got one of their preferred ones. They got a Kaffeeklatsch, but nobody got more than one. So if you want to sign up for a second or more, you can. Signups begin first come, first served at 10 a.m. Friday.
Okay.
Opposite us.
Oops.
Yeah. Well,
so that means I'm not going to get to a second one, which is fine. I mean, I got the one I wanted, and I'm happy. So.
Well, perfect. Yeah. Don't hog them, man. Come on.
Well, the one I really, to be honest, the Friday at 3:00, Michael E. Bryant Kaffeeklatsch, which Kat got into.
Nice.
There's a reason I couldn't sign up for that one, but that would have been my top one had I been able to sign up for that one.
Yeah. Well, he's on our live show. I mean, like
that's true.
You don't want to.
So was Pete McTighe, and I signed up for his.
That's true. Like, don't see. Part of the. I mean, I run around and grab interviews for the podcast often during the course of the convention. This is what ties up most of my time and stuff. Especially back in the day when we did like 4 or 5 episodes a weekend. That doesn't happen anymore because
it's never going to happen again either.
No, because we're sane. Exactly. And so like
we're 10 years older.
I always felt like this feels wrong to like sort of tie up an hour of this person's time when I've like already done an interview with them. So that's a reason why I've never gone. The Kaffeeklatches I go to are the ones that I'm actually doing in person with the guests. So and then you all get to hear that. So hopefully we'll grab 2 or 3 during the course of the weekend, because it is a very busy weekend this time around with activities and stuff.
Friday at 3 p.m. Why can't I go to Michael E. Bryant, Stephen?
Why? Because it's the Radio Free Skaro meetup. You have 3 hours to get over the rampant excitement and tremors that you have felt after our live show to meet up with us, the 3 of us, in Program F.
Berate us mightily.
Yeah, Program F, the meetup room at Gala, which I believe is slightly bigger this year, which is good because there were people sort of lined up around the room, standing room only, especially for the Verity one. So.
We've had different layouts of chairs and whatnot over the years in the meetup room, so I don't exactly know what this one's going to look like, but
yeah,
we're going to find out.
It sort of turns into a Q&A a little bit, basically. Like the first one, we just sort of like stood around and talked as if it's like the lobby or something. We had a little more structure to it.
That's because we don't know what to do at the time. That's
exactly.
See, I blame us.
We still don't know what to do at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically our feedback panel, I guess, in a way. I don't know.
Here's what you could do better.
Yeah, more or less.
Why don't you like that certain Christmas 2009 episode?
Yeah.
Why are you so disrespectful of our president? Where do I begin?
Oh, boy. Hopefully those won't be topics brought up at our meetup at 3 o'clock.
Please don't. Yes,
Come along. have some fun. It happens at the same time as the Attendee Talks Gallifrey One Academic Symposium. This is something that Paul Booth and Joy Piedmont.
Yeah, this is where I get annoyed because I wanted to. I can't go.
You can't go
I want
to
to see
this.
Rachel Donner's Judaism and Doctor Who talk, which I cannot see now.
No, it starts at 3:25 p.m. Yeah, they basically. Well, Warren, do you know the gist of this kind of academic symposium and how they work?
It's a presentation, so I'll probably get to see your presentation after the fact. I hope.
Right. Well, do you know? I mean, just so I'm not the one talking all the time, Warren. Do you know?
Oh no, I have no idea.
Okay,
I was just going to pop in and watch.
It's like it's a Doctor Who TED Talk.
Essentially,
kind
it's
of,
a
yeah,
bunch of Doctor Who TED Talks.
And then there's like panels, Q&As afterwards and stuff. Like it's a bunch of mini topics, so to speak, and then they sort of like break off and have a Q&A thing, like making science fiction fact or becoming a Time Lord with one heart by Dr. Anita Sengupta, for crying out loud, is the keynote address to this one. Rachel Donner's one about Judaism and Doctor Who is on there, of course. A whole host of other ones. Amanda
Prescott is on there doing one about history of Black British history in Doctor Who, which would be a very interesting one as well.
And that was at 4 o'clock, so you could actually go to that one by the time.
There's nobody who knows more about period genre stuff than Amanda.
Oh,
like it's insane how much she knows.
Yeah, she is definitely an authority.
That's up in Program B, which is on the main level. Once again, there's programming on that main level, and behind sort of where the lobby is, that's where Program B is again this year. So that's where the academic track is from 3 to 6 p.m. on the Friday afternoon. There's a lot of cool stuff. I popped in there for a little bit last year in between stuff. So, also on the main stage all throughout this day is when the big interviews are happening and stuff. For instance, just dipping back a little bit, the 3 o'clock one also features Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, Mark Strickson, Sarah Sutton, all on stage, all at once, basically talking to each other, more or less. Mark Strickson is essentially the host of the Blu-ray documentary, so he's probably just going to be MC, I think, at this point as well. That's happening at 3. Ty Gooden is interviewing Tosin Cole at 4 o'clock on the main stage, and then Riley Silverman is interviewing Pearl Mackie on stage at 5 p.m. So the big name guests take up the main stage throughout the later part of the afternoon. I thought, when are you going to jump in there? But I guess not.
Nope, not jumping in. You've said everything that you've said there.
As I kind of spoke of earlier, every year when the schedule comes out, we'll go through and we'll say, okay, I want to go to that one, I want to go to that one, I want to go to that one, I want to go to that one. Invariably, conflicts happen, so you pick more than one, or something else crops up and you can't make it to one. But
I'll tell you what happens most of the time. I see somebody I haven't seen all year.
Yeah.
And I just end up hanging out with them, and then we forget to go to a thing.
Socializing happens. But yeah, the Pearl Mackie one is on my list of things to see. That's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be cool. I enjoy seeing that's what I mean. The knock-on effect of not doing 3 to 4 episodes in a weekend is that I've started to enjoy some panels on occasion, which is kind of nice. And so I'll be popping in for those.
The Tosin Cole one, I'm maybe I'm kind of leaning toward trying to get to it. One of the things with Program A stuff where these are going to be happening, the room holds 1,700 people, something like that.
Yep.
But sometimes it can be very, very full, as we'll get to later when we talk about Eccleston. But sometimes it's tough to get a seat. But the Tosin Cole thing he did at Chicago TARDIS, he sounded like a really, really fun interview.
Mm-hmm.
And,
he was.
And I'd be keen to see him again because of that.
Yeah, he had such a good time at Chicago TARDIS. What he meant to say, he's had such a good time with my interview that he's come to Gallifrey One. Not really. Pearl Mackie's one, because Pearl Mackie has had to bow out a couple times in the past to Gallifrey One, so she's finally here. Yeah, she's finally here for Gallifrey One, talking to our friend Riley Silverman. That's at 5 o'clock, and then the sort of the main program sort of wraps up. At 6 p.m., the Game of Rassilon, the D&D podcast, also with Riley and Dan Peck and others, happens at 6 p.m. To 7:30 p.m. I think it's a live podcast recording, actually, is what they're recording.
I believe that's true.
For the podcast.
Christopher Jones, excellent artist. Christopher Jones.
Very actually. Drew the cover of the Star Trek romance Valentine issue that Paul Cornell has written that is going to be,
and his third Doctor stuff is great, fantastic.
Too. Yeah. The fan video happy hour is at 7 p.m. This is what our friends Kim and Sage from Head Over Fields put together. It's called a happy hour, but it's for 90 minutes from 7 to 8:30 in program. See, Warren, are you contributing?
I indeed have contributed a bit of shipping goodness, and you'll see when it goes out, and I'll make it public on YouTube as well for those who can't see it. If you're clamoring at the bit to see my latest fan video, which I'm sure you are.
You might be.
One of the entries, just to step back to 6 o'clock, Doctor Who Deathmatch.
That's
is
a good
on
one.
At that time, which Paul Cornell is hosting, and this is the third year.
Third or fourth?
Fourth?
I want to say that like the first year was James Bond's, I think, and then the next one was Doctor
Best Doctor, which John Pertwee won.
And then Seasons was last year. Seasons of Doctor Who. And this year is producers and script editors. This is right up oh boy, somehow I want Sayward to win just to annoy Paul.
It's getting a little more esoteric and focused, and so by 10 years from now it'll be like Doctor Who Deathmatch, Best AFM or something like that.
Well, incidental music is clearly the next one on the list, and I feel that should
that's a
be
good one.
Right?
Make sure you tell Paul.
I will. Paul Cornell, incidental music, Gallifrey One 2021, please. Erica's on that one. I guess I need to go to that one, obviously, because she's going to be on that panel talking about producers and script editors. So that's pretty cool. Everyone vote for John Wiles and Donald Tosh, please. So yeah, that's a
in this panel that doesn't as yet exist.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Don't vote for Gary Russell, right?
No. Also in the evening, Paul Cornell, who of course has written for Doctor Who on TV in the past, but he's sort of like the de facto host of all the game shows and stuff. And what started as a podcast and then a live podcast recording is now just sort of a Friday night panel of fun called the Cornell Collective, which happens at 8:30 p.m. With Paul, Unag McCormack, Andy Hicks, Sarah Murphy, Kim Rogers, Joseph Scrimshaw, and Riley Silverman. That's lineup.
A good crew.
That's a lineup right there. So that'll be a fun time. I imagine that in between that one panel and the other panel, I will have imbibed some alcohol at some point to go along to the Cornell Collective, but I will be there.
Are you recording this year?
Alcohol?
Yeah. What's that, Chris?
Are you recording it this year for Paul?
No, it's not. No, it's far too ribald now and and libelous to be recorded. So that is no longer the case. Yeah.
If it wasn't recorded, you should title it "Far Too Ribald."
One thing that's not happening on the Friday, which I lament because it has happened the last 2 years, was the pub quiz, which I don't see happening at all this year, which is a sad loss. Not last year, but the year before I went there and came in. I forget where we finished. We were second going into the final question. I know that, but that was a hoot. I love pub quizzes.
They're always fun. Also, the Idiot's Lantern sketch comedy show, which happens every Friday night at Gallifrey, is happening on the main stage with a whole host of people that are on that. That's at 8 p.m. So we say that the official schedule sort of wraps up at 7, but there's always these evening amusing events, not really in-depth panels because it's fun. We're having fun here, and that's what the Idiot's Lantern is. So that's 8 p.m. main stage. Again, all sorts of stuff happening during the evening that is a ton of fun. There's karaoke. There's the cocktails at Millyway's, the Torchwood 4 Cabal party. That's I haven't found my way down there in the past couple of years just because
I did last year. And Kevin and Andy are buddies of mine, so I always try to make an appearance.
They're all of our buddies.
Yeah.
And then there's the Whose Drunk History Is It Anyway improv.
I just like saying that.
Yeah. Whose Drunk History Is It Anyway? Yeah.
Yeah. Improv at 10 o'clock on the Friday night.
Mm-hmm. With a host of people as well, so yeah, lots of Friday night events. It's a lot of fun. The Friday's a cool night. And then Saturday, if you wake up nice refreshed, as everyone does.
6 a.m, birds are chirping.
Yeah.
You've
not a trace of alcohol in your system.
Yeah.
You've softened that from past years.
I have a little bit.
I've definitely softened that from past years.
Let me tell you about a little thing called vitamins, vitamin B and vitamin C and ibuprofen and magnesium and
water.
water.
Yeah, water, tons of
before
water.
you go to bed. I just like I've tried this now for the past few years. Like, and I wake up and go, wow, like I'm not even at all hungover at all. If indeed drinking is your thing, then this is a nice way to get over that. So. Vitamins are important. This is why healthy eating at points during the course of this weekend will come in handy, especially when we get to the Sunday, because at that point you might be out of gas, but try not to be. Saturday, this is when this is sort of the big day, so to speak, of all of the panels. So I hope we have time to get through this during the course of this podcast. We've already been going for 35 minutes almost, talking about just Friday. So. It starts early at 10 a.m. convention registration as well, but I imagine that you probably already are there. So why wouldn't you be there already? There's a whole host of stuff. Writing for legacy television, writing
I
panels.
just checked that and add to my schedule.
Yeah. What's enticing about that one for you there, Warren?
Just hearing these people write about writing in different genres, and and a bunch of these people I've listened to on podcasts too, like Shauna and Julie Benson. They've been on a bunch, so that'll be interesting. It's always an exercise of frustration for Canadians because I'm like, all this information that I can't use because the Canadian TV industry is tiny.
And David Gerald is on that one. He's always got some interesting stuff to talk about when it comes to TV writing.
The guy wrote Trouble and Tribbles for God's sakes and a million other things. So.
Was it last year or the year before? I went to the TV writers panel, like him and Cherry Chiva and Ben Wheatley and I can't remember who all was there. It was great though.
Oh yeah. Ben Wheatley made a random appearance at the convention last year, didn't he? And
So it must have been last year I saw that one. Also opposite that is BBC at 10 a.m. BBC television before and now, talking about how BBC productions were.
I want this one to end in a knife fight about how great multicam is.
I know. They need to be Michael Lee Bryant, Margot Hayhoe, who of course are both on our show, and Marcus Gilbert, who was in Battlefield, Jeffrey Beavers, Fraser Hines, all of that one. Ken Deep talking about old TV, old tube camera TV.
I don't know which one I want to go to, but I've got both writing for legacy television.
Probably going to go for writing.
And the BBC TV one.
Yeah.
Both of them marked off, as well as the podcasters meetup is at that same time.
I know, there's a podcasters meetup at 10 a.m. in the meetup room. Yeah.
That's a tough decision to make for 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning in Cali.
Vitamins, like I said, vitamins.
I could be as lucid as I want to be and still have that be a tough decision.
You need to have that on a t-shirt, as lucid as I want to be.
Autographs for Christopher Eccleston, because Christopher Eccleston's there on the Saturday and Sunday rather. The autographs start at 10. The photos begin at 10:30. We'll hear more about him later on. As well as all the autographs happen throughout the day, of course, and the photos and stuff. I don't usually go in for the photos, so I don't know how that necessarily works. But
you line up, you get your photo, you move along, and it takes like 8 seconds once you get in there.
Yeah.
No, get out.
Yeah. So 11 a.m. What's is there anything on here that at 11 a.m. that I look at?
Kat is interviewing Mark Strickson.
Yes, Mark Strickson.
I want to say Program B as I hover over the thing and scroll down. Yep, Program B.
Correct, Program B upstairs.
She's very much looking forward to that one. She put her name in for Strickson, for Jenna Fielding, and for Sarah Sutton, so the Fifth Doctor companions. And Warren, who will be talking to Sarah Sutton, as we'll get to in time, is
indeed I will.
One of is somebody who got one of the ones Kat was hoping for, but she's very happy with Strickson because she loves Turlough. But opposite that is A Day in the Life of a Doctor Who production, which sounds really interesting as well.
Yes,
because you got producers, directors, actors, writers, like it's the whole gamut, and that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, moderated by Adrienne Enderle, who works in the business herself, so she knows what she's talking about when it comes to these things with a whole host. So yeah, like second AD. This is what I love about Doctor Who. At Gallifrey One, there's second ADs coming to this convention, second assistant directors.
That's
I love
Stephen
it.
Morris, I assume.
Stephen Morris too. Mark Corden, James de Havilland are the two second ADs.
Tracy Simpson is I don't know what producer role she's doing these days anymore because she's done everything for the production. So,
but she's in there now still. And Mark McCoy, who's a camera operator, and Sally Abrahamian, who of course has directed the Witchfinders and stuff, and
as a writer as well. So,
yeah, so that's that went on my list for pretty early on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love the spectrum that's going to be represented there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on the main stage, 11 a.m. Day in the life of a Doctor Who production. So you can see how it's made in the olden days at 10 a.m. and then how it's made now at 11. That's kind of how it works. So we move on to noon. There's a panel about guest starring on Doctor Who with a whole host of people who have guest starred on Doctor Who, as it says on the tin, basically. Or when is your interview with Sarah Sutton?
1 o'clock.
I'd have to scroll down and find out. Thank you, Chris. 1 o'clock.
1 p.m. Which is opposite a thing that I'm on. So we're fighting.
The fifth Doctor companion interviews are back to back to back.
Right, because Janet Fielding's after Sarah Sutton. Is that how it goes? Okay.
And then no. It's, Mark, Janet, Sarah.
Got it. Oh, yes, there it is. Stephen Warren-Hill from Chicago TARDIS fan will be interviewing Janet Fielding at noon. So, and then 1 p.m. is Warren talking to Nyssa. Warren.
Yes, and I looked at her Wikipedia page, and she's done some Big Finish and some Doctor Who, and I'm gonna have to come up with some stuff to ask her.
Sarah Sutton, if it helps at all, Sarah Sutton started as a child actor, so she's
that does help.
She started at I don't know what young age, but she was in some pretty big stuff at by the age of 10 or 11.
I'm glad we're doing your internet research here live on the podcast, Warren.
Yes.
Sarah Sutton was in a crazy bonkers CSO-filled BBC production of Alice in Wonderland as a child. So I've seen a few clips of that, and it looks just crazy in a 1970s BBC style, kind of crazy. So if you want to ask her about blue screen and stuff and tube cams,
oh yes,
that's
I'm
your
sure
in.
She'll be thrilled.
That is your in.
Stephen, though, 1 o'clock, you won't be able to see Sarah Sutton being interviewed by Warren, will you?
No, I'm doing my first ever live commentary. I've never done a live commentary. I've Sean Lyon, who does the he and I chat on occasion during the lead up to the convention and stuff, just talking about things. Of course, arranging the guests for the live show that he gives us too. And he just always assumed that I had done a commentary. I was going to do one 2 or 3 years ago for, I don't think it was Heaven Sent, but maybe it was for Heaven Sent with Rachel Talalay, and then she had to cancel or move, and the commentary itself got canceled, and I never ended up doing it. And he just assumed that I had done one, and I hadn't. And so I'm finally doing one. It's for Kerblam. It's with Pete McTighe, Stephen Morris, and Matt Roman, who played Kerblam Man. I'm so looking forward to this. I've watched Kerblam about 2 or 3 times for the past week just to sort of get used to it. Because there's no Doctor Who Confidential, I want to look into it a little more. So I basically am going to be asking these fine folks what's going on screen, or just letting them talk and jumping in if things ever get a little quiet or something. So yeah, that's in the main stage. I'm looking forward to it. I've never done a live commentary. Please come along or go to Warren's.
Indeed, please do.
Yeah.
Yep.
All the options are available. So that's happening at 1. 2 o'clock. This is a big and important panel. A salute to Terrance Dix. Of course, we lost Terrance Dix over the past year. Paul Cornell is on that one with Emma Reeves, Keith Barnfather, Liz Miles from Verity's on there, Scott Gray, David J. Howe. Just a tribute to Terrance Dix, the wonderful Terrance Dix. I mean, how amazing would that be? The only thing that might be more amazing, there's a looking back at the Sarah Jane adventures, because Kerry Russell, Anjali Mohindra, and Stephen Morris and Sam Watts are there. They've all worked in the damn show.
All in different capacities as well.
Yeah, that's at 2 p.m. Which 2 p.m. this is a hell of a time. Like, I want to go to Terrance Dix. I want to go to the Sarah Jane Adventures one.
And this or that.
I want to go to This or That, which is Kim and Sage. Basically, they asked, if those have never seen it, it's a riot. It started off at Li Who, and basically they have a guest or two, and they ask them this or that, like random questions, like Harrison Ford or Chris Pine, and then the guest would have to come up with the reason why and stuff like that. And it's often a hilarious time. The guests this time around are Tosin Cole, Pearl Mackie, and Michelle Ryan.
If you remember many years ago, old Tacky on TV podcasts, they had a variant of this, like Swap Shopper Tiz was, and all that kind of stuff. So same kind of thing, but yeah, it gets quite riotous.
It does.
Some big names there with Michelle Ryan, Pearl Mackie, and Tosin Cole.
Damn right. Yep. It has become a signature event at Gallifrey One on the main stage Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. So those are that 2 p.m. block. I might have to dip in. I might have to rotate between the three of them just to get.
You might just have to clone yourself.
Maybe that's it too. Cloning has always been an option.
It is not.
Yeah, just down the hall is the cloning room. Just go there and pay it a visit.
Yeah. 3 p.m. There's always been a sort of a music panel every single year, and there's another one this year. The music of Doctor Who, a retrospective. Kat's on this panel along with Sam Watts and others.
Yep, she was on it last year, so was Sam. And Rami is, this is the 9th or 10th year or something like that. Like our friend Emily Kozlik, Emily Kozlik White now, originated the panel with a handful of people, and I think Rami's the only person who's been there every time. Or at least most every time. But yeah, Kat's on it. Mick, our friend Mick is on it. Our friend Sam is on it. So, I mean, people who are very knowledgeable about music. Sam, of course, composer for Sarah Jane Adventures, worked in the Whoniverse.
So that's a cool one to go to, the music panel.
And Peter Davison opposite that, for better or for worse.
On the main stage with Ken Deep, an hour with Peter Davison, one of the 2 doctors that are at the convention, of course, and of course he'll have been on our live show at that point. And then there's autographs and everything else happening throughout the course of that afternoon as well. It takes us up to 4 o'clock. There's another live commentary for Demons of the Punjab with our friend Joy Piedmont, with Tosin Cole and Vinay Patel, who, of course, wrote it. That's cool. Live commentaries, always fun. And there's yes.
The one I'm going to go to at 4 o'clock, I think, is behind the scenes of the Orville, where they have a few of the exec producers from the show. They don't. There's no Seth MacFarlane, for better or for worse, but still, there's a few other exec producers there, including Brandon Braga, who worked on TNG and so on. Which that's gonna, like, I adore the Orville anyway, but having somebody like, sitting and watching Brandon Braga, like, that's just gonna be awesome.
Yeah, there's I mean, last year there was a the Babylon 5 autograph thing on, like, it's the 25th anniversary of Babylon 5, and they had, like, like Bruce Boxleitner was there, and Claudia Christian, like a whole host of people who were in Babylon 5 did a panel and then an autograph session. This year there's no panel, but there are autographs with many people like Anthony Montgomery and Connor Trinneer from Star Trek Enterprise, which I maintain is underrated. Jeffrey,
it could be underrated and still not good.
Jeffrey Coombs is amazing as Wayun. He's there for autographs as well. Nicole DeBoer, who played Dax in season 7 of DS9, is there as well. So I can't remember his name now. Just scrolling through here trying to find him. But Robert O'Reilly, who of course played Counselor Calron, is there. Like, so there's like autographs happening on that Saturday with people adjacent to Doctor Who in a way, and the fact it's Star Trek. So that's just a cool thing. I love that, because I just wouldn't expect to see such people at a Doctor Who convention, and it's happening. So that's pretty cool. I won't be going to any of those, because I'll probably be in a hotel room hyperventilating, because the main event, I suppose, at the convention, I'm lucky enough to be handed the baton by Sean to do, is the Christopher Eccleston interview at 5 p.m. on the main stage.
It's never too late to take up smoking as a way to calm yourself.
You say this every year, and every year we don't.
Yeah. That's gonna be. It's not coming on the podcast, so you got to be there or to see it. It'll be a packed event. The next day, Deb Standish and Ty Gooden are also interviewing him. So people request sort of like, okay, well, this is, pick one or the other, because I imagine a lot of people will be at both of them. So
as I spoke of earlier, Program A holds 1,700 people, whatever it is. But of course, there's about twice that many people at the con. Yeah. So if you do attend Eccleston on the Saturday, it's requested you do not go on the Sunday, and vice versa, just so that everybody has a chance to get in there and enjoy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I've been, it's Christopher Eccleston. Hasn't been to many conventions at all until like in the last year, and he's hasn't really spoken much about Doctor Who until the last year. And so this is a big moment in the convention history, the fact that he's coming here. So I'm honored and mildly intimidated by the responsibility, but I think it'll go well, and it'll be a good time. And it'll be very interesting to hear what he has to say.
In seeing his panels from New York Comic Con and Rose City Comic Con, he's like, there are those people who will be on a stage being interviewed, and they're just not really receptive. They don't really open up any answers. It's just like 2-word answers and things like that, and it's really, really dull. Thankfully, he is quite the opposite, and he seemed quite happy to go into detail on things, and I'm sure it'll be I'm sure the hour will fly by.
It will. The fact that it's like a guided interview as opposed to like an audience Q&A is what I'm looking forward to as well. We'll talk about Doctor Who. We'll talk about his book, I Love the Bones of You. We'll talk about, all sorts of things that he's done in his career. But it should be a very, very good time. So do come along, 5 o'clock, main stage on the Saturday. So that's the big event. And then the Masquerade happens after Ready Steady Flash, which is another game show that Paul Cornell is doing this year. That's at 6 p.m. and all sorts of stuff. I will probably just because the Eccleston thing is my last official event on the Gallifrey One calendar this year. So I'll be relaxing, shall we say, that night.
Yes.
But karaoke's there. The Masquerade of Mandragora, of course, happens
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. The Saturday night. It's the big night. That it's usually around. The people wear all their costumes on the Saturday, knowing they're going to be in the Masquerade that night. So yeah, Saturday's a big thing if you've ever been to Gallifrey One before. So that's Saturday. Sunday. Everyone's bright. We say this every year too. I love how Sean has scheduled it in that Sunday is a lighter day, so to speak.
But still some good and big stuff.
It still is. There's a lot of stuff that the big art show auction happens all day that day as well. But there's other stuff that's going on. 10 a.m. is Eccleston again, as I said, with Ty Gooden and Deborah Stanish. That's on the main stage. And then this is. There's a triple shot of awesomeness. There's a Doctor Who animation behind the scenes. That's Gary Russell and Russell Minton. Probably talking about Fury from the Deep, which Gary Russell has worked on. And it's the next one coming out. It was just been announced. I think it's March or something like that.
Yep, March 16th.
Followed by 11:40, Doctor Who Blu-ray behind the scenes with Pete McTighe and Russell Minton talking about the Blu-ray stuff and things. Russell Minton, of course, being on this podcast a couple times, talking about it in the past. And then after that, this is really cool. The Daleks Master Plan, Episode 2, Day of Armageddon, colorized. Kieran Hyman is here to present it. A colorized version of the Daleks Master Plan, not erasing the original black and white version, just an interesting. Colorized version of William Hartnell Doctor Who. Why not? Colorization can sometimes bring things to life and just give you a different perspective.
Like if you've ever seen They Shall Not Grow Old, the Peter Jackson documentary, he said in the behind the scenes stuff, colorization can be terrible, like it was on TPS in the early days, or it can, if you really work hard at it, it can be excellent. And in that case, it is excellent. They jacked up the frame rate, they put in the color. It looks like you're watching videotape of World War One. It's insane.
Yeah, it makes it real, especially like war doc. Like I've watched this series a few times. World War II in color, I believe it's on Netflix.
Yeah,
I've watched it like several times. I mean, I should say, wow, I love World War II in color, but it makes it feel immediate, and you're watching something that has just been made in a way. It's really exciting. So yeah, those three things I am really looking forward to. I might just plant myself in a seat in the program A from 11 till 1 and watch all that. But
at 12 o'clock is the Verity meetup, so that would mean missing that.
That's true.
I'm not allowed to go to that because Kat says I'm not allowed to go to anything she does because she gets nervous if I do.
That's fair.
Well, you're so tall that you just sort of like loom in the background. Like, how can you not be noticed in there, really?
Well, I'd probably be seated, but still, yes.
Yeah.
Still looming.
Still looming. Very tall. And then the various things happen over the course of the Sunday. The Michelle Ryan interview is on at 12:45 p.m. with Tony Lee. There's a film and review and like photo sessions and everything else. It's a relatively light.
I have one panel on Sunday as well.
Oh, what's your panel?
Streaming TV for Anglophiles, which is basically it's Hayden Black, me, Amanda Ray Prescott, Rachel Root, and David Whittam. But basically, I'm just going to be ranting about the sandbaggers. Damn
right. You're going to talk about the sand. What time of day is that at there, Warren?
That is 3 p.m.
3 p.m. That is cool. Well, that's cool. There's also a panel called The Enduring Magic of Doctor Who, which is sort of like the big wrap-up kind of panel that they often have with a whole host of people who have been on Doctor Who, past and present. That's happening on the main stage. There's a special video presentation to be announced. I have no idea what that is. That's at 4 o'clock. And then the closing ceremonies is at 5. And then that's it. And then you're released to the wild to go and watch Doctor Who somewhere. Now, do they? I mean, do they have BBC America in the LAX Marriott? I have
no idea.
No idea if they do.
I never watch TV. So
I know you don't. I would. I hope they do, obviously, because that means we could watch Doctor Who. But I've never seen a BBC America broadcast of a Doctor Who episode, and I want to see what's going on.
Commercials.
Yeah. But anyway,
you've seen it on Space. So
I've seen it on Space. I know,
that's the same as watching on BBC America.
Well, not really, because I know that people in the past have said, "Look, why are they showing scenes of what's to come in the episode that I'm already watching?" And so I'm just curious, because I know that BBC America airings air like 5 to 7 minutes after CTV Sci-Fi is done with it too. So
that's probably because they have more commercials than CTV Sci-Fi and extend the runtime.
Yeah. Anyway, our episode of RFS will come out at some point after we have watched the episode in question, the name of which I have forgotten.
The Villa of, some weird.
The house that Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein at.
Yeah, exactly.
The Haunting of Villa Diodati.
There it is.
Let's say some like Italian sounding thing.
I love Diodato. His version of Thus Spake Zarathustra is awesome. So yeah, that'll be coming out on the Sunday night, kind of as per usual. It'll be weird. We'll go to a convention and all of a sudden we'll record a Doctor Who podcast as we usually would, and then party the night away until we leave on the Monday morning. So there. I hope we broke things down enough for you on this episode.
And let's not forget, none of this would be possible without one Sean Lyon and all the people working on the convention.
Yep.
And more importantly, or as importantly, Gallifrey1.com. Hit up the attendee guide if you do have any lingering questions or anything like that. It's quite comprehensive about what's going on relative to scheduling, food availability, locations of stuff, maps, grids of scheduling. Like it's all there.
It is. Yeah. It's a great attendee guide, actually. Like, we've been, like, this is our 11th year. And I just was going through there earlier today and think, this basically answers, this invalidates this podcast that we're doing, really, in many ways. But,
as per usual. We should be used to this feeling by now.
Yeah, we should just read this thing off for an hour and that'll be it.
Well, we basically did. So yeah,
more or less. But anyway, if you're going to Gallifrey One, we hope to see you there. Come up and say hi. If you're not going to Gallifrey One, we hope to cover it for you. Maybe not during the course of the weekend, just because of the madness that the fact that it coincides with the actual Doctor Who airing. But once Series 12 ends, probably stuff from the convention will come out on this here podcast to reminisce. So we get to reminisce for a little longer about Gallifrey One now, thanks to Doctor Who airing. When it does. So, always a good time. Always a good time at Gallifrey One in Los Angeles, California. We're looking forward to it. We hope you are too. So, until Gallifrey One, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro, subscribe to us on iTunes, and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.